Blake Lively stars in It Ends With Us, which is an adaptation of Colleen Hoover's hit novel, and its focus is pretty much on a woman who had a very traumatic childhood, who's trying to secure her purpose in life, learn how to reciprocate love, and also break generational trauma. So, to summarize the film, It Ends With Us is split into two parts. A small part of the film focuses on lead characters Lily's high school years, and that's when she sees her mom get abused by her father, and she also meets a young man named Atlas who becomes her first love. Fast forward, in modern times, her father has recently died, and Lily has moved from Maine to Boston to open up a flower shop. At this flower shop, the first person that she meets and becomes her employee is named Alyssa, and Alyssa has a brother whose name is Ryle. Ryle met Lily before, and things were flirtatious, but with him being a neurosurgeon, he got a call and he had to run off. But now that he knows that his little sister is working with this woman who is very beautiful and attractive to him, he originally it seemed that he was going to try to make Lily into somebody who makes call herself someone that you take home to mama, not the one you just hook up with, but instead he's going to work his way into her feelings and into other things. But Lily ends up winning out, and as time goes on, Rao finds himself wanting to commit to Lily, not just to get into her pants, but because he recognizes her worth, her value. And it should be noted, Lily wasn't looking for no man. Lily was focused very much on her business, and she liked the attention, likes to flirt in order to keep her skills up, but in time she too decides to give Ryle a chance, even though he does raise some red flags that remind her of her father. But those red flags start to become really bright and like Matador red as Atlas reappears in Lily's life and Ryle doesn't take well to it. So, getting to the review section, I think the first thing we have to know, just because it's such a light topic and also one that we don't really do for a lot of TV shows or movies, and that's just when it comes to Lily's fashion, it's something notable. And I would say, if you're a fan of Blake Lively's usual fashion from Gossip Girl up to now, it's pretty much in the realm of that. It's I don't even know how to describe it because I'm not into fashion, but it's definitely aesthetically pleasing in a way that makes you want to take note of it. The second highlight is just when it comes to what this movie pursues in romance, it's very good. Like, it's established early on that Ryle is going to be likely an abuser, yet at the same time, he has game, Atlas has game, and Lily has game too. She's just not receiving all this and just flattered. She gives as much as she takes. And watching them, it makes it so difficult to not want to let Ryle be attractive. Because, he's a neurosurgeon, beautiful head of hair, abs. It's like, you get he's supposed to be a heartthrob, perfect, checks off all the boxes kind of guy. But you know what's going to happen down the line. But then when Atlas, let me just say, when we're talking about the high school version of Atlas who is dating Lily or the older one, it creates the type of romance which makes you wish so badly that this was a mini-series or maybe like a 2-season series rather than a movie for, even though this film is 2 hours and 10 minutes, which feels like a lot, there's still, you want so much more of these cute moments, especially when it comes to Blake Lively's version, because I feel like with the younger version, you get more than enough of the teenagers, young adults, but once you start getting the 30s and beyond, getting this type of hot chemistry romance, it feels like it's in shorter supply. And I'm not saying I got my fill by watching this movie, but definitely got a taste to the point that now I want more. Following that up, I have to know when it comes to Jenny Slate as Alyssa, it's not necessarily a surprise performance because Jenny Slate has done dramedies and dramas, but I do appreciate how she's built, written, and performed pretty much to be a comic relief, but then as things start to get a bit dangerous and hard for Lily, since Lily is her best friend, you see Slate go through the complications of her brother's the person causing the issues, yet at the same time, that is still her brother and she loves him deeply. And with the way that this film handles that situation, it allows the makeup, the performance, the wardrobe that brings a lot of comedic moments. You see, Slate's allowed to set that aside and just be a person, and with that, it gives you somebody who feels three-dimensional, and not just for the purpose of lightening up the movie or else helping when it comes to prolong to the first act of violence. Keeping things light and making it come off almost like a romance, if not a romantic comedy. And with that said, now the last highlight is a little bit tricky to talk about, and that's because it's domestic violence and just how it handles that. For one of the things that kind of get established early on is Lily is someone who, I think, like a lot of people who've had addicts, abusers, or anything like that in their families, they think they're going to be the exception, that they know the signs, so it's not going to happen to them. And it happening to her, of course, is unfortunate, but it also helps you realize the blind spots, or when you fall in love, how these things can happen. And it's kind of similar to the Lifetime movie about the black girl gets kidnapped at HBCU. You can recognize the signs, but if this person is feeding your love language is somebody who seems safe, it's easy to allow them and maybe even yourself to manipulate what happened in order for it to be a mistake, to be an accident. And it's only when it becomes a pattern or something majorly shocking happens that you realize, I made a mistake. And I feel like it also needs to be noted that as much as Lily kind of ignores some situations or allows Raul to put his own narrative on it, on the flip side, this movie, I don't know what's the best way to put this. When it comes to Raul, they don't try to humanize him, and they don't try to have Lily defend him in some way. Instead, as much as they may establish that he has his own traumas, it's also recognized that it's not an excuse. And yes, he might be a neurosurgeon, he might be an attractive person, but it's pushed that, yeah, he may have these wonderful qualities mixed in with these horrible ones, and that can make him come off flawed, but that doesn't mean that he's somebody that deserves your forgiveness. And I would, because just to think about it, Atlas also has issues from his mother in homelessness. He's had a really dark past, and you don't see him beating on people and having outbursts that hurt other people. And the whole depiction of it when it comes to Ryle, I think I hate to say I think it's good, but it feels rooted in some kind of reality. Now, when it comes to Lily's father, who kind of sets the tone for her in her life, honestly, this is kind of why I wish this wasn't a film but a series, because a lot of the time I feel like her father's very black and white, and he doesn't get the same gray that Raul does. So it makes it where, did I want to see at all more violent scenes? No. The maybe 5 or 6, 3 of which belong to Raul that we see, is more than enough. But I do wish that we got to see, as a teenager, her interact with her mom more when it comes to these situations, and it not just be in terms of why her mom stayed. You make the assumption that it was partly financial, but her mom also saying that she loved him, because at least with Ryle, you get a sense of why Lily tried to make things work, tried to change the narrative in her head, but with her mom, you don't get to see those good moments. You just see her being seemingly choked out. I mean, to put it simply, if you are somebody that could potentially be triggered by that, this is not the movie for you whatsoever. So getting to the on the fence portion, I feel like the issue with me is that this is a 2 hour, 10-minute movie and it feels like that, but at times you may question that use of time. And granted, I'm not saying that this movie should have been longer by any means. For what really makes it longer is when it builds up to the scene when Raul's about to do something and you're kind of put into Alyssa's mindset of what's happening here and time's moving slow. But again, it would have been nice to kind of spread things out, and I get making movies is probably more lucrative than making TV shows, and it's probably easier to get greenlit maybe, but considering there's 2 books when it comes to this franchise, I just feel like between doing like a My Brilliant Friend or House of Dragon where one season's focused on the high school, then the baton is handled to the adult years, or maybe put it all in a mini series where they can build up her childhood and you get a full understanding of Lily's young life to her being an adult. I feel like they just cram so much into this movie, and it makes it so while you understand the emotions involved, appreciate the performances, there are times where you may feel like questioning how much longer is this movie, and then when it comes to those moments that perhaps should make you cry, you see and understand what's going on, but at the same time, your focus is more on how much longer is this filmed than really fully being in the moment. But overall, while I wouldn't say that this film is like accolade worthy, I do think that for the audience it's made for, it can potentially be pleasing. And I think that for fans who were interested in this movie, it's definitely worth seeing. But again, if you're somebody who could potentially be triggered by domestic violence, this is not the type of film that pulls away from it, sort of like I Used to Be Funny and not depict it. It depicts the actual scenes, so just be wary of that.